Welcome to the E Cup Series Season 6. We're at the new Houston International Raceway, a track designed specifically for the E Cup Series, and we will head to it for our first and only road course of Season 6. Road courses are always really exciting, and let's look at our starting lineup for today's race. On the pole is Jimmy Johnson with Kyle Busch with him in row 1. Then in row 2 we have Austin Dillon and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Row 3 belongs to Kurt Busch and AJ Allmendinger. Then row 4 goes to Chase Elliott and Matt Kenseth. Then in row 5 we got Penske teammates Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. Then in row 6 we have Clint Bowyer and Ryan Newman. Row 7 goes to Paul Menard and Tony Stewart. Row 8 is Greg Biffle in the 16 and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. Then in row 9 we got Danica Patrick and Kevin Harvick. And then we have Kyle Larson and Carl Edwards, along with Jeff Gordon in the 24, our points leader. And then we have Casey Mears in the 13. Then we have Trevor Bayne and Casey Kane behind them. And then we have Eric Almirola and Denny Hamlin. And rounding out the field today is Jamie McMurray in the 1 and David Reagan in the 34. Now let's take a quick look before today's race at our current point standings. After today's race, we'll have only one more race until the cutoff to the championship, and you can see who's in the top 4 right now. Guys like Jimmy Johnson, Brad Keselowski, Casey Kane, Kurt Busch, McMurray, Hamlin, Kenseth, all those guys need really good runs today to try and knock off those top 4. But you saw Jeff Gordon, Joey Logano, and Dale Jr. and Kevin Harvick are in the top 4 right now. Your race info you just saw, 10 laps, 28 cars, and Jimmy Johnson's back on the pole. We're underway here in Houston. And Jimmy Johnson's one of those guys I just mentioned would like a good run today. He's 5th in points coming in, just 1 point behind that cutoff. He leads now. Austin Dillon has moved into 2nd. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wants that position. He gives him a little nudge, and now Ricky Stenhouse, who's looking for a good run today, he moves into 2nd place. Dillon is 3rd. Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch are 4th and 5th. We begin the 2nd lap, and Ricky Stenhouse, really aggressive early on. He looks to the inside of Johnson and takes that lead away. Oh, but Jimmy comes right back with a little nudge of his own, and he'll retake the lead. Austin Dillon back into 2nd as Ricky Stenhouse lost a lot of momentum, as now Kurt Busch is going to even look to the outside of that 17 car. As up front, Jimmy Johnson leads Austin Dillon by about a car length. We're on lap 3. Kyle Busch looking to the inside now of Stenhouse as he starts to slide way back. So they all head on into turn 1. Oh, and now we have trouble. Paul Menard and Greg Biffle along with Danica Patrick crash into the turn 1 wall, and looks like they knocked a chunk of it off as well, as our first caution of the day is out on lap number 3. And yes, indeed, they knocked off a part of the wall. Let's take a look in the replay. You see on the top of your screen, Paul Menard was putting a block on Biffle. Biffle might have clipped him when he tried to cross over. Knocked both of them out of shape. They both slammed into the wall, and you saw Danica Patrick had nowhere to go. Red flag has now been displayed for the leaders to give the track personnel time to work on this wall, as that is an important wall right there. We just overheard a radio conversation from Dale Jr.'s team.
You saw that, right, Greg? Those idiots just barreled through that wall like bulls in a china shop. I thought they were going to fly off the table.
Classic Dale Earnhardt Jr. And it looks like they're making good progress with that wall. All taped and such. And that is our cue to go back under the yellow flag. So we've done all we can with that wall. We will now restart on lap number 5. Menard, Biffle, and Danica are out of the race. But everyone else is still in it. Green flag is in the air. Good restart here for Kurt Busch as they fan out 2 and 3 wide into turn 1. Kurt Busch is looking for the lead underneath Jimmy Johnson. He goes from 3rd to 1st in the first couple of corners. And now Kurt Busch takes the lead for the first time today. Jimmy Johnson, though, wants it right back. He's all over the back bumper of the 41. But here comes Kyle Busch, Kurt's younger brother. And now both Busch brothers are surrounding the 48 car. All 3 of them would love a good run today, especially the 2 front runners, as they are just outside that top 4, looking to get in there before next week's race. Kyle Busch gets around Jimmy Johnson. Kurt Busch, though, trying to put a block on him. Kyle looks to the inside, and they spin! They spin out, and now Jimmy Johnson takes the lead. We stay green for the time being, as now Kurt and Kyle Busch have collided. Now we got trouble in the front stretch. Brad Keselowski's around, and now Jeff Gordon turned at the last second. And the caution will now wave as heavy impact for Brad Keselowski. Clint Bowyer involved as well as Jeff Gordon, our points leader. And you see the Busch brothers behaving just like they did when they were kids. As you saw here up front, Kurt Busch came down in front of Kyle after Kyle got a good run. They both spun out. We stayed green at that point. But then just at the end of that corner, it looks like Clint Bowyer got loose, got into Brad Keselowski. They both collide. And you see Jeff Gordon trying to avoid Keselowski, gets turned, it looks like, by Kevin Harvick. And so 3 cars are out of the race here. Points leader Jeff Gordon did not want a bad run today. Neither did Brad Keselowski, who was just on the outside of the top 4. Both of them are going to take major hits in the points. And they'll see if hopefully they can limit that damage, as we will restart with 2 laps to go now. Johnson's still leading. He puts a block on Allmendinger, but here comes Austin Dillon on the outside. AJ's into third. Jimmy Johnson and Austin Dillon still side by side for that race lead. Johnson keeping his nose in there on the bottom now, as he and the 3 car battle into the final 2 turns of the racetrack. Coming to the white flag right here as Johnson gets loose, gets into the 3 just a little bit. Austin Dillon's going to be able to clear him though. Allmendinger moves into the 2nd spot, as Jimmy Johnson, who's led the most laps today, he falls back into the clutches of Chase Elliott. Austin Dillon, though, showing a lot of resistance in that 3 car as he continues to lead. Less than half a lap to go. AJ Allmendinger dives to the inside. He gets loose and gets up into Dillon. Austin Dillon, though, is going to save it and hold on to win race number 8. Austin Dillon gets his first win of the season, and that's a big one to help salvage what's been a relatively rough season for that team. But a really strong run today, as Austin Dillon will celebrate his first win of the season, like I said. And what a good run for that 3 team, as they really were one of the best cars all day. Let's look at our top 5. First is Austin Dillon. Thank you to his couple of sponsors. Relatively underfunded team. Second was AJ Allmendinger, who he loves coming to road courses for the most part, and he did not disappoint his fans today. Jimmy Johnson gets another top 5. It's going to help him out in points big time. He did get that run he needed. Chase Elliott finishes 4th, his first top 5 of the year. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with a strong 5th place finish as well. Here are your full results. Joey Logano gets another strong finish. He finishes 6th. That'll help him in the points. Matt Kenseth is 8th. Another good points day for him. 10th for Dale Earnhardt Jr. 11th for Kevin Harvick. Those are good runs for them that they need, and especially with some of the trouble that we saw from Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski, among others. And and of course the 2 Bushes who spun out as well. You see they finished 21st and 22nd. The trouble they had today is going to hurt them in the points and is going to help out a lot of other guys. Let's look at the points. We have 1 more race until the cutoff. Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson. You see Jeff Gordon goes from leading to now tied for 4th. He and Joey Logano are technically tied right now. But you look, Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, guys like that, just not too far out of it. They're going to need a little bit of help, but it looks like with that little gap right there, we're going to have a good 5, 6, 7 car battle here in this last race before the cutoff to see who gets into that final championship race. You see Kurt Busch now falls back to 11th, Edwards 12th, Hamlin, Keselowski. They got caught up in wrecks or did not have the runs they needed to have, and that's going to ultimately put a big damper on their chances of making it to that final race. So thank you for watching race number 8 here at Houston. I'll be back in a couple of weeks and we'll be ready for the last race before the championship. Race number 9 will be from Bristol, baby. We're a better place to have a big, important race than Thunder Valley. So I hope you all enjoyed today's Double E Cup Series race, and I'll see you all in a couple of weeks.